David Thane, the Provo High School roving reporter of 1957, and I are on Center Street in Provo on 4th West. In back of me used to be a business row, and in back of that was a bike rack and the old Provo High School that we attended for 2 years. Provo City Carnegie Library was abandoned for the new library across the street, which has now been turned into a theater. And so it's the Arts Center, Provo City Arts Center. It's about to open. It should open this summer. The Utah Valley Symphony will hold its concerts now in the Arts Center, and it should be a benefit to downtown Provo and help it maintain its historic nature. Across the street we have some buildings. We'll go down and take a look at Cook's Ice Cream, which many of you fondly remember. You wouldn't look upon it so fondly today, but David's panning the camera now on what used to be a drugstore, and out on that corner column there used to be a cabinet that held comic books, and the only thing between you and the comic books was chicken wire. You could look at them, and if you wanted to look at one more closely, then you went into the attendant, and he came out and unlocked the cabinet, got the comic book out for you, and let you take a look at it. So that was kind of fun. Some of you may remember that. Many of you will remember Cook's Ice Cream fondly, especially those of you who went to Dixon Junior High. It was a rare treat to get a booth or even a stool at the counter in Cook's Ice Cream after one of the dances we had in the gymnasium. I personally would take my date, and we would run, sometimes down the center of the street, sometimes down the sidewalk if we were a little more discreet. We'd run down to Cook's Ice Cream to make sure that we got a booth. We're on Center Street between 4th and 5th West. Cook's is on the north side. I know that you've had some of their great malts and sundaes during his souls. We're standing on the corner of 5th West and Center Street looking toward Pioneer Park. Many of you remember the 5th West ditch where they used to have Huckleberry Fin Day, and we used to dive in and jump and play in the water. Well, the 5th West ditch is now gone. It's actually just a storm drain. There's no need for irrigation water now in the fields to the south of Provo, so the ditch has been covered up. There's not water in it most of the time, only when it rains, and this summer that hadn't been too frequently. So that's the ditch was put in the 1920s to a lot of drum rolls and fanfare about bringing the beach to Provo, and they hauled in some sand. Some of you can probably remember playing in the sand next to the 5th West ditch, but that's all gone now with the modernization of Provo. So we're in Pioneer Park. Fond memories of playing on the swings and the teeter-totters and the big slippery slide at Pioneer Park. It was always set out to be the town square. In early Provo, 5th West was Main Street. Center Street, it was always Center Street, but this was the town square. And after the square where the county building is located was established, then this was the West Square, and that was the East Square. University Avenue was East Main. This was West Main. But during the 50s, this is where the town of Provo was located. As a matter of fact, they planned to build the first tabernacle here in Pioneer Park. And we'll take a walk over and let you see where the bandstand used to be, another victim of progress in Provo. The bandstand came down a couple of decades ago. Some of you might remember playing band concerts from Dixon Junior High on the bandstand during the late spring. It was a milestone in my band memories. This monument was erected to the memory of the first pioneers and also the Indian War veterans who served from Provo. There was the Battle of Provo River that took place in 1850 in February. There was the Walker War that took place in 1853. Some boys from Provo, quite a large group, served in the Walker War. Then there was the Black Hawk War in 1868. And of course, in 1858, there was the Utah campaign, where Johnston's army came to Utah during the Utah War, and we had boys from Provo who went to Echo Canyon and some of the side canyons and constructed fortifications that were supposed to hold out the federal troops during that conflict. Better than I think. We're standing in Pioneer Park at the site, the former site of the bandstand, which became a victim of high insurance rates and liability. We used to run and jump on this, and I can see how people could probably be hurt, but there were ways short of demolition that it could have been saved. Not far from, well, the pavilion has been built basically where the bandstand once stood, and that also is a historic location. It goes back to the 1850s. In about, I'm going to say 1852 or 3, ground was broken here for the tabernacle, Provo's first tabernacle. Provo was known throughout the other colonies as being kind of a habitation of backsliders. A few of us still live in the locality today, but they hauled in loads of rock. They dug what was probably the largest hole in Utah at the time, and did a little work on the foundation, but just basically let it stand. And it stood in that manner for about 2 years. 2 or 3 years. Brigham Young came down to a conference which was held here in the park in a Bowery, an open air patio, kind of a ramada type thing that would seat several hundred people, and announced that the tabernacle, it's a good thing they didn't spend a whole lot of time on the tabernacle in this location because it was about to be moved. And so it was on that day that he announced the tabernacle was going to be on the current tabernacle block and about this location on the block. And that one was finished, but it took the people about 15 years to finish it because they would rather work for themselves than they would for the public works or for the public good a lot of times. And so it took a long time in Provo to get a few projects done. Across the street north of Pioneer Park, where Albertsons is now located, was also an important area historically. The Bishop Elias Blackburn's house was on that block. There was a Holdaway's wool carding mill, and later on he went to spinning, and they manufactured men's wearing apparel. They well, I call him Provo's Levi Strauss because he manufactured pants for the pioneer population. Later on, the block was taken over by the Provo manufacturing company that manufactured iron, and well, they manufactured boilers and things from iron. A huge boat, a fairly large boat, was manufactured on that block to go down and sail as a tourist boat on Utah Lake in the 1890s. Also on that block, on the northeast corner of that block, was the Octagon Store, an 8-sided store built by Henry Southworth, used to sell merchandise. It was the post office. It was an inn. Of course, many of you remember that on the corner diagonally across the street from Pioneer Park, the first memories I have of that building, it was an auto sales building, but the first memories I have of it was when Art Adamson had his plumbing and heating in that building on Center Street and Fifth West. And the big 3-story building next to it was the West Co-op.